and welcome to How to Become a Confident Commercial Real Estate Agent. My name is Jolene Desmond. Congratulations to your client on finding their perfect home, the 15th one that you've shown them. 15 missed dinners with your family, driving, paperwork, late night calls, while you work hard to make your client's dream come true, all while continuing to prospect for the next client to make sure that there's a payday after this one. What would it mean for you, your business, and your family if all of your clients were repeat clients buying multiple multi-million-dollar homes every year without having to work evenings and weekends and with no emotions involved, just business decisions? What if you could provide expert level service to your clients, but provide more for your family with less working hours, less driving, less paperwork, more money, more family time, more true freedom? Now, everything that you've heard about commercial real estate isn't true. It's even better. It is true that we normally do not work evenings and weekends. We maintain a great work-life balance. We manage transactions rather than emotions. We have repeat clients, and we make a lot of money doing it. Breaking into commercial real estate is possible, and I'm here to help. Before we get too far, I want to make sure that you're in the right training. This training works best for licensed agents whose broker will allow commercial transactions, agents who are ready to make the leap into commercial real estate, and agents who can dedicate 30 to 60 minutes of time a day with a consistent focus on commercial real estate. This is for you if you know you are capable of representing a commercial client through a transaction, but you just haven't been taught enough to step out and confidently represent them in every transaction. This is for you if you're tired of this industry being gatekept. This is for you if you've had to turn money away. Now, I had the opportunity to learn about commercial real estate before I became a licensed agent. I worked in corporate America, managing a $7 billion portfolio of commercial real estate. But once I was licensed, I was absolutely shocked about how little to no training there was available for agents who wanted to be able to do commercial real estate. And as I built my business, I needed agents who knew what they were doing, especially in that buyer representation, tenant representation space. So I started mentoring agents. For the first time ever, just this last year, I started offering this exact same proven method to other agents, not just to join a team, but to be able to build their own business in commercial real estate. Samantha Zelmer is somebody that came on with me 5 years ago. She has never sold a residential property. She's never done residential real estate. She came on with no experience. I brought her in as an agent, a designated agent with me on my transactions with my clients, where she was mentored, apprenticed, and paid. She has earned the title of a commercial leasing specialist, commercial real estate agent. She covers all commercial real estate aspects of acquisitions and advisory and sales. She has been instrumental in closing over $80 million of commercial real estate in the Kansas City metro area. Now, here's everything that you need to know about commercial real estate to move forward. There's no need to fake it till you make it. We become confident in what we do. We get paid by doing. I have a picture here of a runner because you cannot be a runner if you do not run. So while we have a proven path to commercial real estate, the one thing that's going to set you apart in your success is the ability to get on that path and take steps every day. In order to become a confident commercial real estate agent, we have to commercial real estate. What we're going to cover in this masterclass today are some basics of commercial real estate. We're going to talk about the proven path to commercial real estate confidence. And we're going to go through the process of taking a client through the transaction all the way to closing. Finally, we're going to talk about how to incorporate both residential and commercial into your business. I want to tell you that by staying all the way to the end of this masterclass, you're going to get 2 free gifts. One, you're going to be able to schedule a call with Samantha and hold it before the end of the week, which is a $250 value. And secondly, you're going to get our free resource guide, which is going to help you incorporate both residential and commercial transactions in your business. So let's get started with some commercial real estate basics. These are some commonly asked questions, some answers, some facts that will help you determine a little bit better what commercial real estate even looks like. First, what is commercial real estate? Commercial real estate, very simply, is any income producing property. And in the case of multifamily apartment complexes, we're talking 5 units or more. No duplexes, no triplexes, no fourplexes. What forms do we use? A lot of times we're still able to use our local multiple listing service forms. They have commercial contracts and other documents there that you can utilize. You just want to check with your local MLS. There are still some forms that we use that are the exact same as your residential forms that you're already used to, like your resolution of unacceptable items, your legal description, etc. Sometimes attorneys will be involved, but not always. There is actually much less paperwork in our file on a commercial transaction compared to a residential transaction. And there are no seller's disclosures. It's buyer beware. What do our days look like? We work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, no evenings and weekends, no holidays. There are times when, even if I wanted to work, I wouldn't be able to because the agent on the other side is not working. We work a lot from our office and can sometimes work remotely. Do transactions take a year to close? Some may, but for the most part, no. Commercial real estate does have its own pace. We show up very diligently for our clients, unrushed, but very strategic in moving transactions forward. One deal can take longer than you're used to compared to residential, but consider this. If you're closing $2 million consistently in commercial real estate transactions every single month, it becomes much less important how long it took one deal to go from start to finish. And when we have something under contract, we're averaging 60 to 75 days from contract to close, just to give you an idea of what the time frame is that we typically work with. If you are selling land or selling buildings, those can take much longer than some of the other representation types that we'll talk about later as well. Do I need a commercial real estate license? You're already licensed if you have your real estate license. That real estate license allows you to do commercial transactions. However, you do want to check with your broker to see how they feel comfortable in you representing a commercial client's best interests in that transaction and what they need from you. It's very likely that they need you to complete some training or to involve somebody in your deal with you who has experience in commercial real estate. Just check with them. How do I find properties to sell? That's not where we're going to start. You're not going to do that right out the gate. And I know that in residential, you've been told, get a listing. You're going to be much more guaranteed to get paid. That's not the case in commercial real estate. We're going to talk about how to build your knowledge and your expertise in the industry. We're going to talk about how to make sure that you're getting paid in transactions. So you won't, not yet. We also want to keep in mind that we're not able to just do buyer representation transactions or seller representation transactions, but we can represent tenants and landlords as well. So let's talk about tenants and landlords and leasing. How many of you have ever thought about doing commercial real estate leasing? And do you know how we get paid on commercial leasing transactions? We get paid in similar fashion, in full at the time the lease is executed. Or occasionally, sometimes it's negotiated where once the tenant takes occupancy, then we'll get paid. My team also charges a minimum commission on our leasing transactions. So what are the benefits of doing commercial leasing transactions? Leasing is a foundational piece of knowledge with a shorter learning curve. Every single thing that you're going to do in commercial real estate, you will need to understand commercial leasing. It allows you to start building relationships in commercial real estate. It allows you to truly understand the valuation of commercial real estate, because the value of commercial real estate is based off of the income that it generates, which is from the leases. They can be quicker to close with no title company, no lender, no resolution of unacceptable items. Let's talk about tenant landlord here. If you see a building that has a restaurant in it, that restaurant may very likely not own the building. They're just paying rent to their landlord, the person who owns the building, in order to lease that space to use it. They're renting. So this is the tenant landlord situation. So if you have a tenant that needs to occupy 5,000 square feet of space and they can pay $20 a square foot on their base rent, we're going to take $5,000 and multiply it by $20 a square foot. And that gives us $100,000 a year that they're paying in base rent. If they enter into a 3-year lease, it's just like selling a $300,000 home. If they enter into a 5-year lease, it's just like selling a $500,000 home. If they enter into a 10-year lease, it's like selling $1 million home with no title company, no lender, no resolution of unacceptable items. How would you like to sell a $500,000 home with no lender, no title company, no resolution of unacceptable items, no emotions, just business decisions? Some other information about commercial real estate is that it is much less competitive. Again, no emotions, these are business decisions. Our comps are based on numbers, not comparisons to other properties. And the reason for that is that if you have a home, the buyer or buyers hold value in that property based on its location, the school district it's in, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the types of finishings it has. And so we compare those things from one residential property to another to determine its value. In commercial real estate, the value that the buyer holds in that property is based on the amount of income that it can generate, its cash flow. And so we do compare one commercial property's cash flow to another in determining its commercial real estate value. Think about so far what you've learned about commercial real estate. What other questions do you still have about commercial real estate? Go ahead and write them down, because at the end you'll be able to schedule a call with Samantha and make sure that all of those questions are answered as well. And think about, what would adding a 6-figure salary or multiple 6-figure salary look like for you and your family? How would that impact them? Now, here is the proven path to commercial real estate this is how I've built my business. This is how I've mentored agents on my team. This is how I've mentored agents outside of my team. It is tried and true. We start with tenant representation and then move on to landlord representation. Now they are a commercial leasing specialist. Then we move on to buyer representation, then seller representation. Now they are full-fledged. If they're a member of NAR, you can use realtor, they're a commercial realtor or commercial real estate agent. And then we focus on advisory. So keep in mind, when you're building a business in commercial real estate, you're not just adding one additional income stream, but multiple. You're able to make money through tenant representation, landlord representation, buyer representation, seller representation, advisory, referral fees. All of those are included. And you will be able to perform all of these functions for any type of property. Now, we start with tenant representation before landlord representation because we want you to go through the process of understanding what a tenant is experiencing before you represent a landlord, because then you're going to be able to vet those tenant clients better. You're going to be able to better understand exactly who you're marketing those properties to. You're going to be able to provide better advisory for your landlord client. When you're a commercial leasing specialist, now you've had the opportunity to build relationships in the industry, to understand our language, to understand how the process works, to be able to have worked with other agents. You're going to be able to have built some consistent income in your business to make sure that all of your bills are paid. And now we move on to buyer representation and seller representation. Buyer representation first for the same reason. You want to have had experience of going through that entire process with a buyer before representing that seller. Step 1, become a commercial leasing specialist. Leasing is your quickest path to commercial commissions. You're going to be able to close deals quicker with guaranteed minimum commissions and no third parties. You're going to be building relationships in commercial real estate. You will be going through the process of commercial real estate transactions, and you're going to learn the language of how we do things. Starting with leasing transactions not only builds a solid foundation of knowledge that you will use later, but we will use this to create consistent transactions that are going to cover your bills and keep you from living paycheck to paycheck. Once your leasing transactions are consistent, this gives you the freedom to move on to becoming a commercial real estate agent and scale your commercial business. It does take very consistently with everybody that I've mentored 3 tenant representation transactions and 1 landlord representation transaction to become a confident leasing specialist. Step 2, become a commercial realtor or become a commercial real estate agent. This is where you're going to gain repeat clients and make more money. I absolutely love representing buyers. It is more than just a sales and marketing aspect. I'm able to really be creative and serve my clients and work with the transaction all the way through the deal. I want to make sure that my buyer clients understand what day 1 of ownership is going to look like for them. And keep in mind, transactions do not close without buyers. And this is the one area of what we do that will allow you to bring on a client and not have to prospect for a new client to replace them once they've closed. They are repeat clients and will keep buying. Your bills are paid. This is where you're going to earn, your bills are paid with the leasing aspect, but this is where you're going to see that $30,000, $60,000, $100,000 commission checks. This is where you're also going to represent sellers, which while they might take a little bit longer time, you already have very good traction in your business, and it gives you the opportunity to make more than just the buyer side of that commission at times. Step 3, you're going to be able to provide expert advisory and close more complex transactions. You're going to break into that good old boys club by being great at what you do. This is where you're executing portfolio analysis and advisory, understanding the deal and all of its moving parts on a level that allows you to provide expert level financial analysis, negotiations, and deal structure. This is executed in a way that expands your ability to get to that closing table. It allows you to expertly and professionally manage all curveballs that may come your way in the process. Other agents will begin to notice a track record of you getting deals closed. And your understanding of economics, loan documents, leases, risk analysis are profound. Now, the commercial real estate transaction, we talk about a pipeline. And if you're familiar with that term, a pipeline is really just how clients and transactions move through your business, how things move through your business before you get paid. So our pipeline, you have somebody who is a customer, then becomes a client. That client goes under contract. The contract is closed, and then we get paid. So at any given time, anybody is in one of these three buckets. You either have somebody that's in this phase of customer to client, you have somebody that's in that phase client to contract, and you have somebody that's in that phase of contract to close. Now, to really cover how we move clients through the transaction process, we need to first have a conversation not only about what needs to be done, but just how to get it all done. Because we all have friends, family, and businesses. So you can keep your house clean, keep your family fed, get the bills paid, learn about commercial real estate, get your first client, get paid, while still prioritizing family time, self-care, a good work-life balance, and still doing your residential transactions. But there's some moving parts here, so let's discuss it. Now, you likely already have established a successful residential real estate business. Congratulations. Do you consider yourself to be a business owner or a contractor or something else? I'll tell you a secret. I think of you as a business owner, and you likely do as well. What about this commercial real estate business? Do you now own one business or two businesses? I'll give you time to think about it or pause here. All right. Let's approach our day. Now, your CPA may say otherwise. You can approach it with your CPA as two separate businesses, but let's think about mentally viewing this as one business with two divisions, your residential real estate division and your commercial real estate division. And the reason why this matters is because if you think that you have two separate businesses, you are going to approach your days as if you have two separate businesses instead of one. And we can meld these two divisions together so that you're accomplishing everything that you need to with both divisions in every day. I like to always say that we're all cooking in the same kitchen, but the residential real estate agents are baking and commercial real estate agents are cooking. You're now able to serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you have pickup and to-go orders. There's a lot of plates. Let's look at how to manage all of the plates that are moving through the kitchen. Time management or task management. I don't think we should be managing our time or our tasks when we approach our day, because that's not how we're getting paid. We get paid for moving transactions through our pipeline, for getting our clients to the closing table. And for every single transaction that you have, whether it's residential or commercial, somebody is still a customer on their way to becoming a client on their way to getting under contract, or somebody who's under contract on their way to getting to the closing table. However, the actions that you take for that client in each phase is going to be very different if you're helping a residential seller sell a house compared to a commercial buyer buying a property. But they're still moving through that same process: customer to client, client to contract, contract to close. So when I approach my days, I'm first going to take the day and write down any of the scheduled meetings or calls that I have. And in all of my spare time, I am solely focused on moving clients through this pipeline, through the transaction, one step closer to closing. Okay. So here's a visual representation of the clients in my VIP program and my mentees who are able to visually see which clients are in which phases. Okay. And we start with the closest path to you getting paid every day, because that's also the closest path that your client has to realizing that full service that you set out to provide for them. So every day, first, we look at who is closed. Is there anything that I need to do in the file to wrap it up and get paid? If there is, then do it. Just knock it out. It usually doesn't take long, right? So you complete that, and now we're moving backwards. Is there anybody who is currently under contract or currently has a lease that is not yet executed? Is there anybody that's under contract but it's not yet closed? And what do you need to then do to get them one step closer to closing? We do that, and now we move on to what clients do I have that are not yet under contract? We take care of them. And now we're looking at customers, prospective clients. We're looking at networking and client relations activities. So we're just approaching our days backwards, starting from our closest path to getting paid and moving clients through this process. Now, a lot of my mentees will put both their residential clients and their commercial clients in the same area. So you're not approaching your days to say, hey, I'm going to do all of my residential stuff first, and then, oh, I didn't get to a place where I had any time for commercial real estate. We're just going to meld it all together and move things forward in your business, both residential and commercial. So here's an idea of some of the tasks that are involved in moving a client through this process in a tenant representation transaction. And the front end, you're going to be networking with business owners. You're going to be holding onboarding calls, which is just where you have a full understanding of their needs. They sign an exclusive right to represent. You've vetted them. You've onboarded them onto your system. And now they're a client. And in that client to contract phase, we're looking for properties, we're presenting properties, we're showing properties, and we're sending out letters of intent and doing some negotiations. Once we have that executed letter of intent, now we're moving to getting a full-blown executed lease in place so that they have a space for their business. We're doing lease reviews and negotiations. There's legal counsel review of the lease is signed, and now we have some broker compliance and commissions. Now, I know we reviewed earlier some answers to some of these commonly asked questions, but these particular questions here are ones that I hear often. These questions are valid, but there is a problem with each one of them. First, how do I find commercial property owners looking to sell? 2, I have a prospective client and they want to know how much their property is worth. How do I find comps? And 3, I have a client and I need to put them under contract. What forms do I need to fill out? Now, the problem with each one of these is very much kind of like, let's figure it out as we go. Okay. If you get answers to these questions and move your client a little bit forward, there are going to be another round of questions. And we want to be able to put ourselves in a transaction with some foresight on what to ask. How do I get answers to some of these questions in advance? How do I really know that I'm going to be able to move this client all the way through the transaction from start to finish? Because these questions are easy, but there is so much more involved the farther you get into a transaction, and we don't want you to be in a position where you're not able to get answers to those questions. So to become a confident commercial real estate agent without faking it till you make it, 1, you can do a self-paced course, training, online classroom learning to be able to gain access to some of those answers in advance. 2, you can find somebody to work a deal with you and mentor you or apprentice you. Which option seems like it might work best for you? Let's discuss. Now, I do offer a self-paced classroom training with a community of other agents who are learning about commercial real estate, a place where you're going to be able to show up and ask questions, a place where you're going to be able to go through coursework, and a place where you're going to be able to gain knowledge about commercial real estate in a way where you pay as you go. You're able to understand the basics of commercial real estate. You're able to start networking and getting a client before you move on to that next step of leasing. However, we learn by doing, and you're going to learn so much in the transactions themselves. Okay? You're not going to sit in a classroom and learn everything there is to know about every transaction. So taking action is key. And here, the networking phase, that's where you're actually starting to take action and getting a client. Okay. It's $12 a month to gain access to a community of agents who are going through that same process as you. You get access to replay this masterclass as often as you want it to, as often as you want to. You get access to all of our basics of commercial real estate, and you're going to get access to training on how to get your first client in commercial real estate, starting to build relationships in commercial real estate. You can then unlock additional trainings as you go. Now, our one-on-one mentorship is limited, and there's no guarantee that it's going to be available. This is where we not only teach you, but show you. We represent your clients with you through the transaction, allowing you to observe and learn every single step of the way while still getting paid. You are able to have access to that community for free, and it unlocks all of those trainings that are available. That's the basics of commercial real estate, networking, becoming a commercial leasing specialist, all the buyer representation, all the seller representation, advisory, real world homework and review. This option is great for agents who are committed to the process of becoming a commercial real estate agent with a guarantee of becoming a commercial real estate agent, and who would also like to be able to lock in that price on the front end. Now, how I successfully mentor agents one-on-one through this proven path to become a commercial real estate agent. Again, we learn by doing, we get paid by doing. And while there's the classroom training videos that cover the basics, we really learn through actual transactions themselves. Agents learn each part of the process as we go through actual transactions. And as you'll see here, we're both designated agents representing a client. In that first transaction, the agent is watching, observing, asking questions. They're starting to learn how to do certain things in every single area, how to have an onboarding call, how to fill out an exclusive right to represent, how to add a client to our system, how to look for properties, how to present properties, how to show properties, how to negotiate a deal, how to structure a deal. Every step of the way, watching, learning, observing, doing, while utilizing all of the systems and processes that I use in my business for my clients, so you do not have to recreate the wheel. You get to focus only on the transaction and learning how to represent a client through that transaction. Now, the following transactions, you're able to start deciding where you feel confident and comfortable showing up. You've seen how I hold an onboarding call. You've seen how I fill out an exclusive right to represent. You've gone with me as I showed a commercial property. You've seen how I negotiate and structure something that works for both the tenant and the landlord. See how we have submitted a letter of intent, how we have negotiated the lease and reviewed it and sent it to legal counsel, how it's been executed, how we got paid. Now you're able to say, hey, I can show a property. Great. I'm still going to show up, but I get to watch and observe and make sure things don't go sideways for you, and I'm still there when you need me. Okay. You're given the exact same systems and processes I've used to build my business that I use for my clients. You do not need to recreate the proven, established, professional, efficient processes and systems to deliver an excellent quality of service to your commercial clients. This is an in-depth mentorship program guaranteed to make you a confident commercial real estate agent. You get our weekly 1-hour group coaching calls. You get my entire community and course online. You get one-on-one mentorship through transactions for as long as you feel that you need somebody else in that transaction with you. You get access to that pipeline template that I showed you on how we're moving clients through the process. You get access to my commercial agent list and our third-party vendor list. Every single commercial agent we've ever looked at a property for, you're going to be able to have all of their contact information, which really shortens the amount of time it takes to get them on the phone. Our third-party vendor list is fabulous because then you're able to provide resources to your clients if they need a list of attorneys or accountants or whatever they might need. Our checklists and processes and procedures. We split commissions on the transactions that are actually working together on. You're still going to get paid for learning. So you get 40% and we get 60%. Once you no longer need me in a transaction with you, then you're earning 100% of commissions on all of your commercial transactions for the remainder of your working life. You get access to my proprietary commercial inventory management system, which will give your client an app on their phone where they can see every single property that we're looking at for them on their behalf and where it's at in the process. Everything commercial real estate is housed in one place for both you and your client. Now, this is an in-depth mentorship program guaranteed to make you a confident commercial real estate agent, is limited in space. You also, if you're interested, bring this up on the call with Samantha. She's going to see if it's a right fit. It's currently available to only 3 other agents before that price jumps up. It's just one flat fee on the front end. You pay once, and we are committed to the process. You don't have to worry about anything else after that. No additional payments. We're just in it until you are a commercial real estate agent. One flat charge, $12,500. Only 3 would be available if we're a right fit and before the price goes up. Or if you would like the option to come into the community and understand the basics, get to a place where you have a client first, then you can join our community for $12 a month and pay as you go. So let's walk through how transitioning into commercial real estate makes sense for you and your business. We absolutely need more commercial real estate agents in the industry who know what they're doing, and we are excited to see you succeed. So I want to thank you for staying all the way to the end. If you're ready to join our commercial community today, I'm going to put a link below on where to go to join and get started. I also am going to put a link below on getting that call scheduled with Samantha. We normally charge $250 for that, so you absolutely want to get that scheduled and hold that within the week to ensure that that is free for you. You can always join our community now and then upgrade into that VIP membership. So I would not delay on getting into the community, getting started there, and then we can just upgrade you if that is the course that you want to take. Thank you.